Everything you've ever done to control me, it's over, done, finished, and you know it. In just one sentence, you can make them doubt themselves, question their dominance, and feel the fear they've spent years cultivating in others. Take a moment now. Repeat it silently. Own it. Feel the shift in your own energy. This isn't just a sentence, it's a boundary, a shield, and a declaration. Empower yourself before they even realize what's happening. Cold shock is the single most critical moment when addressing a narcissist because it immediately disrupts their sense of control. Narcissists thrive on predictability. They are masters at reading body language, tone, and emotional cues to maintain dominance over others. When confronted with a statement that is unexpected, direct, and unflinching, it creates a jolt, a psychological disturbance that forces them to pause and reassess. This moment is brief, but its impact is profound. The words themselves must be sharp yet calm, simple yet undeniable, designed to deliver maximum clarity without giving them an opening to manipulate or debate. It's not a moment for dramatics, anger, or excessive explanation because those reactions dilute the effect. The sentence has to land like a pebble dropped into still water, causing ripples that expand far beyond the initial impact. The narcissist, expecting compliance, charm, or uncertainty, is suddenly faced with unwavering certainty. Their internal script, the one that assumes others will bend to their will, falters. Even the most confident narcissist experiences a spike of anxiety because they are confronted with something they cannot predict, control, or manipulate in real time. Cold shock works because narcissists fear exposure. They fear being seen for what they are beneath the polished exterior. By delivering a statement that cuts through their manipulations with quiet authority, you expose a boundary that they cannot erase. The statement does not attack their character in a confrontational way. Instead, it reflects an immutable truth that they are no longer capable of bending. The calmness of delivery is just as crucial as the words themselves. Hesitation, anger, or over-elaboration can give them room to regain control, but a steady, measured voice signals that your position is absolute. In that moment, the narcissist experiences a psychological dissonance. Their carefully constructed narrative clashes with reality, and they cannot adjust their behavior quickly enough to maintain their dominance. This is the essence of cold shock, a single precise moment of disruption that tilts the balance of power. The phrase you choose should be concise, unwavering, and mentally rehearsed until it can be delivered without a flicker of doubt. It becomes a tool of empowerment, giving you immediate psychological leverage over someone whose entire modus operandi depends on controlling others. Cold shock is not about drama or emotional display. It's about presence, clarity, and absolute certainty. It signals that their usual tactics are ineffective and the boundary you establish will not be crossed. That moment of unexpected clarity can shake a narcissist more than any argument, confrontation, or retaliation because it exposes a truth they cannot deny and a power they no longer hold. Mastering cold shock requires preparation, confidence, and self-assured delivery, but its effects are immediate, profound, and irreversible. The tease and payoff stage is where anticipation and subtle tension come into play, and it's critical in making a narcissist truly unsettled. Unlike the cold shock, which is a sudden jolt, the tease builds an awareness in the narcissist that something they cannot predict or control is coming. It plants a seed of uncertainty, which is far more unnerving to a narcissist than overt confrontation because they thrive on predictability and manipulation. In this brief window of 8 to 15 seconds, the words you choose act like a magnet and a mirror at the same time. They draw attention while reflecting the truth back at the narcissist in a way that undermines their sense of control. The tease is a promise without disclosure, a suggestion that power has shifted subtly but decisively. It signals that you are aware of their games and, more importantly, that you are prepared to act or respond in a way they cannot anticipate. The payoff is the emotional and psychological consequence that follows this awareness, the realization that their influence is no longer automatic, that their manipulations may fail, and that the very narrative they've relied upon to feel superior is being quietly dismantled. It's not about shouting, threatening, or overwhelming them with emotion. It's about precision. The tease is the setup, the payoff is the internal collapse that occurs in their mind as they confront the reality of lost control. The delivery must be calm, measured, and confident because any hint of nervousness or overexcitement signals vulnerability, which a narcissist is trained to exploit. During these few seconds, you are essentially creating a psychological trap. The narcissist anticipates the expected, compliance, fear, or confusion, but instead they receive something entirely different: quiet, unwavering awareness that they are being seen clearly, fully, without the filter they rely on to manipulate reality. This subtle, controlled tension is deeply uncomfortable for them because narcissists are fundamentally insecure beneath their polished exteriors. The tease creates curiosity and anxiety. The payoff delivers clarity and undeniable truth. Together, these two elements work like a lever, tilting the balance of power away from the narcissist and giving you psychological leverage without overt aggression. Mastering this moment requires preparation and mental rehearsal. You need to know the sentence or statement that will follow the tease and deliver it with unshakable confidence. When executed correctly, the narcissist experiences a mental dissonance. The anticipation of control meets the reality of your unassailable position. That clash creates a subtle but profound fear. Fear not of you personally, but of the certainty and presence you embody. The tease and payoff, in essence, is the art of quietly signaling power. It is a masterful psychological move, brief, controlled, and devastatingly effective. In this moment, the narcissist realizes that you are no longer someone they can manipulate, and the payoff is the recognition of your untouchable stance, which lingers far longer than any confrontation could. The engagement spark is the moment where you seize full attention, not through confrontation or aggression, but through a compelling, almost cinematic depiction that forces the narcissist and anyone observing to witness the consequences of their actions. After the initial cold shock and the subtle tease, this is the window where imagination and perception converge, creating a psychological impact that resonates deeply. Narcissists rely heavily on control over others' perceptions. They define reality by how effectively they can manipulate responses and maintain dominance. The engagement spark disrupts that carefully constructed narrative. In under 40 seconds, you guide their mind to a scene where their power is unraveling. The charm that once coerced compliance now meets indifference. The subtle intimidation that used to bend behavior now meets a calm, unwavering presence, and their inflated self-importance loses all meaning. The key is to make them feel the loss of control vividly, but without dramatizing yourself. The words you choose act like a lens, focusing their attention on the undeniable shift in influence, allowing them to internalize the scenario as if they are witnessing it firsthand. You're not lecturing or scolding, you're quietly showing in real time the collapse of their assumed dominance. Timing is essential. Too brief, and the visualization doesn't register. Too long, and you risk losing intensity or giving them time to rationalize it away. The engagement spark thrives on participation. Their imagination fills in gaps, amplifying the psychological impact. This is why calm, precise, and confident delivery is critical. The more they mentally engage with the scenario, the more they experience a rising sense of anxiety and disorientation, not because of overt anger or threat, but because the certainty they once relied on has shifted. It is subtle yet deeply effective. This moment also reinforces to any observers that control has changed hands, demonstrating a presence and authority that is unmistakable. In essence, the engagement spark is a controlled yet powerful display of influence. It does not yell, it does not plead, it simply shows the reality of the power shift. The narcissist experiences it internally, viscerally, and often unexpectedly, making it one of the most psychologically potent steps in confronting or neutralizing manipulative behavior. By mastering the engagement spark, you create an environment where control is no longer theirs, certainty is yours, and the boundaries you establish are not only seen, they are felt deeply. The power of clarity is one of the most decisive elements when confronting a narcissist because it establishes an unshakable boundary and communicates authority without aggression. Narcissists are experts at exploiting ambiguity, hesitation, or mixed signals to maintain control over situations and people. They thrive in environments where intentions are unclear because uncertainty allows them to manipulate outcomes in their favor. Clarity, in contrast, removes all ambiguity and leaves no space for interpretation, negotiation, or manipulation. It is not about being loud, dramatic, or emotional. It is about being precise, firm, and unwavering in your communication. When you speak with clarity, you are essentially drawing a line that cannot be crossed, a boundary that is impossible to misread. This single act of precision is profoundly threatening to a narcissist because it challenges the very foundation of their influence. They have spent their lives crafting illusions and controlling perceptions, and clarity exposes those illusions as hollow. The words you choose must be deliberate, simple, and direct, yet delivered with calm authority. Hesitation or over-explanation is a weakness they will seize upon, interpreting it as doubt or insecurity. The clarity you embody is more than just verbal. It is a total presence. Your body language, tone, and unwavering gaze reinforce the message. This is truth, not debate. When a narcissist encounters this level of clarity, they experience psychological discomfort. They cannot argue with the certainty you exude because it bypasses logic and goes straight to the recognition that their power is no longer effective. Clarity is a form of invisible armor. It protects your boundaries while simultaneously undermining their manipulative tactics. Furthermore, the power of clarity is cumulative. Each time you assert yourself with precision, the narcissist internalizes that your position is consistent, reliable, and unmovable. Over time, this erodes their confidence in their ability to control or intimidate you. Importantly, clarity is not a weapon of aggression. It is a signal of autonomy. It communicates that you are fully aware of yourself, your boundaries, and the reality of the situation. The narcissist feels unease not because of confrontation, but because they are confronted with a truth they cannot alter: your certainty. Mastering clarity requires self awareness, preparation, and emotional regulation. It is about knowing exactly what you want to communicate and delivering it in a way that cannot be twisted or undermined. When executed properly, clarity becomes a psychological lever. It shifts power subtly but irrevocably. The narcissist recognizes, often unconsciously, that your decisiveness and unambiguous presence are impenetrable, making them question their ability to dominate, manipulate, or intimidate you. In essence, clarity transforms words into authority and presence into a force that the narcissist cannot penetrate or challenge, making it one of the most potent tools for asserting control over your own life while neutralizing theirs. Psychological leverage is the subtle yet devastating force you wield when confronting a narcissist because it operates on the principle of influence without aggression. Narcissists are acutely attuned to social and emotional cues, constantly analyzing situations to determine how they can manipulate others to serve their sense of superiority. They thrive when they perceive weakness, hesitation, or uncertainty, and they retreat only when faced with an unassailable presence. Psychological leverage is the art of quietly shifting the balance of power in your favor, creating a situation where the narcissist feels subtly destabilized, even without overt confrontation. This is achieved not through anger, threats, or drama, but through careful understanding of their motivations, vulnerabilities, and expectations. By recognizing what the narcissist fears, exposure, loss of control, or being ignored, you can craft statements, gestures, or behaviors that exploit those fears indirectly. The key is to do so with precision and calm, creating a situation where the narcissist's own mind works against them. When wielded effectively, psychological leverage produces a disorienting effect. They begin to second guess their tactics, question their ability to manipulate, and feel a creeping sense of uncertainty that they cannot easily counteract. It is not about winning an argument or proving a point. It is about establishing dominance through presence, awareness, and controlled action. Timing, subtlety, and emotional neutrality are essential. If the narcissist perceives desperation, overreaction, or moral judgment, the leverage diminishes as these are weaknesses they can exploit. Instead, the leverage must be delivered with calm confidence, creating a quiet tension that undermines their psychological stability. Every word, pause, and gesture can contribute to this leverage. For example, a single declarative sentence that asserts a boundary, reveals awareness of manipulation, or communicates your indifference to their tactics can be far more destabilizing than any prolonged confrontation. Over time, consistent use of psychological leverage erodes their perceived dominance. The narcissist begins to recognize, often unconsciously, that their usual strategies no longer yield control, which produces frustration, self doubt, and fear. This form of leverage is powerful because it does not rely on external validation or conflict. It is a personal mastery of influence that turns the narcissist's own expectations and insecurities against them. Essentially, psychological leverage transforms awareness into power, presence into authority, and calm certainty into a force that the narcissist cannot anticipate or manipulate. It signals to them that their control is gone, not through confrontation, but through strategic understanding and measured action. When applied consistently, it becomes a tool of liberation, empowering you while quietly dismantling the narcissist's influence. This subtle, intelligent approach is far more effective than any overt fight because it destabilizes them at the level they rely on most, their perception of control. Timing and delivery are the hidden forces that determine whether your words and presence will truly impact a narcissist or simply bounce off their defenses. Narcissists are constantly scanning for cues, measuring the exact moment they can assert dominance or exploit weakness. They are highly attuned to hesitation, inconsistency, and emotional fluctuation, which is why even a carefully crafted statement can fail if delivered poorly. Timing is not about speaking first or last. It's about choosing the precise moment when your presence, words, and the context all align to maximize psychological effect. Delivering a statement too early, when the narcissist is not fully engaged, can result in it being dismissed or rationalized away. Delivering it too late, when emotions have already escalated, risks provoking resistance or a defensive reaction that shifts the focus away from your authority. The most powerful timing is often when the narcissist least expects it, during a moment of calm or subtle tension, when they believe they still have control. This element of unpredictability amplifies the impact of your words and actions, creating a momentary disorientation that they cannot easily counter. Delivery is equally critical. It must be calm, measured, and unwavering. The narcissist does not fear anger or shouting as much as they fear certainty delivered without agitation. Your tone, pace, and body language reinforce the message far more than the words themselves. Pausing strategically, maintaining steady eye contact, and speaking with quiet authority signals that you are in control and unshakable. Hesitation, filler words, or emotional intensity can undermine your position and invite manipulation. Every subtle cue, from posture to breathing, communicates confidence or vulnerability, and the narcissist is trained to exploit any sign of the latter. The combination of perfect timing and precise delivery creates an almost surgical psychological effect. The narcissist experiences a disruption in their expected control, a moment where their manipulative strategies no longer function as intended. This disorientation is amplified because they perceive your certainty and composure as unassailable, making them question their ability to dominate or intimidate you. Timing and delivery also work cumulatively. Each instance of calm, well-timed communication reinforces your authority, making future interactions increasingly difficult for the narcissist to manipulate. This mastery is not about theatrics or dramatics. It is about preparation, awareness, and control. Knowing exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to say it ensures your presence is authoritative and your influence undeniable. In essence, timing and delivery convert your knowledge, clarity, and psychological insight into action that the narcissist cannot predict, control, or counter. When executed with precision, they become the invisible hand that shifts power subtly yet irrevocably, ensuring that your boundaries are respected, your presence is commanding, and the narcissist's influence over you is effectively neutralized. The mid-video CTA, or call to action, may seem like a simple prompt for engagement, but when addressing a narcissist or teaching others to confront one, it carries profound psychological significance. This moment is not about marketing or clicks. It is about reinforcing empowerment and ensuring the audience internalizes the concepts being presented. Narcissists thrive on uncertainty and emotional manipulation, and one of the most effective ways to neutralize their influence is to strengthen the other person's sense of agency. The mid-video CTA serves as a pause for reflection, a moment where viewers are invited to mentally practice, affirm, or embody the strategies they've just learned. By asking the audience to repeat a sentence, visualize their boundaries, or reflect on the shifts in power discussed, the speaker transforms passive listening into active psychological rehearsal. This active participation is crucial because narcissists are most destabilized when they encounter individuals who are prepared, confident, and practiced in maintaining boundaries. The mid-video CTA is also a subtle reinforcement of authority. It signals that the power dynamic is shifting, that the audience holds the tools to assert control, and that these tools are not abstract. They are immediately applicable. Timing and framing of the CTA are essential. It should appear after the audience has been introduced to the core concept, such as the cold shock, tease, and engagement spark, so that they have context and understanding. If presented too early, the exercise lacks depth. Too late, and the momentum of psychological impact may be lost. The CTA must be concise, direct, and compelling, encouraging the audience to internalize the techniques in a manner that feels achievable and empowering. Importantly, this practice is not about aggression or confrontation. It is about self-assured presence. By guiding the audience to repeat or visualize a sentence or to mentally rehearse asserting boundaries, the CTA bridges theory and action, making the psychological strategies tangible and immediate. For the narcissist, this reinforcement is invisible but effective. The more prepared, calm, and certain the individual becomes, the less influence the narcissist can exert. Over time, repeated mental rehearsal via mid-video CTAs strengthens confidence, resilience, and psychological independence. The narcissist may sense a shift in energy, even subtly, without fully understanding why. In essence, the mid-video CTA transforms passive learning into active mastery. It ensures that empowerment is not just theoretical, but internalized and embodied. It is a tool to cultivate confidence, reinforce clarity, and create an unshakable foundation that the narcissist cannot penetrate or manipulate. By integrating these brief exercises at strategic points, the speaker ensures that viewers are not merely absorbing information, they are actively reshaping their psychological position, preparing to assert boundaries, and most importantly, reclaiming power over interactions with the narcissist. The endgame effect is the culmination of all previous strategies, the final outcome that demonstrates a permanent shift in power and influence over the narcissist. While earlier steps like cold shock, tease, engagement spark, clarity, psychological leverage, timing, and mid-video reinforcement are crucial, the endgame effect is the moment when these techniques coalesce to produce irreversible psychological impact. Narcissists thrive on dominance, manipulation, and control, and their perception of power is central to their sense of self-worth. The endgame effect is about fundamentally dismantling that perceived control without overt confrontation or aggression. It is the point where the narcissist recognizes, internally and sometimes unconsciously, that their ability to influence, intimidate, or manipulate you has been permanently compromised. Achieving the endgame effect requires consistency, strategic execution, and unwavering presence. Each prior step primes the narcissist's psyche. The cold shock destabilizes them. The tease and engagement spark create anticipation and visualization. Clarity asserts unambiguous boundaries. Psychological leverage subtly undermines their assumptions. Timing ensures maximum impact, and mid-video exercises or reflections reinforce empowerment. When all these elements are executed with precision, the narcissist reaches a moment of cognitive dissonance, where their expected reality no longer aligns with actual outcomes. This dissonance generates fear, not fear of retaliation, but fear of loss, irrelevance, and exposure. They realize that their usual tactics are ineffective, and they cannot predict, control, or reverse the situation. The endgame effect is subtle yet profound. It does not rely on theatrics or dramatic displays. Rather, it is the quiet, undeniable authority that communicates, "Your power over me is gone, and I will not engage in your manipulation." The narcissist experiences a combination of anxiety, frustration, and self-doubt as their dominance erodes. This moment also empowers the individual because it represents a psychological liberation. The endgame effect is about reclaiming autonomy, asserting boundaries, and neutralizing influence. It transforms previously tense or manipulative interactions into encounters where the narcissist is acutely aware that their usual strategies are no longer viable. Furthermore, the effect is durable. Unlike temporary victories or arguments, the endgame establishes a long-term shift. The narcissist understands, consciously or subconsciously, that future attempts to regain control will be met with the same unwavering presence, clarity, and psychological authority. In essence, the endgame effect is the ultimate payoff, a single, continuous demonstration of empowered behavior that permanently diminishes the narcissist's influence, restores personal boundaries, and cultivates a lasting sense of control and confidence. It is the final ripple in a carefully orchestrated psychological strategy where the individual's certainty and presence become unassailable, and the narcissist's fear, frustration, and loss of power are undeniable. Achieving this requires preparation, mindfulness, and strategic execution. But once realized, it represents the definitive moment of psychological liberation and empowerment. In the end, confronting a narcissist is not about anger, revenge, or proving a point. It is about reclaiming your power and establishing unshakable boundaries. Every element we've explored, from the cold shock that jolts them out of their control to the tease and engagement spark that subtly destabilizes their confidence, to the clarity and psychological leverage that quietly assert your authority, and finally to the timing, delivery, and mid-video reinforcement that solidify your presence, works together to create one undeniable truth. You are untouchable. The endgame effect is the natural outcome of this process. It is the moment when the narcissist recognizes, often unconsciously, that their influence over you is gone, that their manipulations no longer work, and that your confidence, certainty, and calm presence are impenetrable. This is not about confrontation, it's about liberation. By mastering these strategies, you reclaim control over your life, protect your boundaries, and cultivate a psychological armor that no narcissist can pierce. Remember, the most powerful force is quiet, deliberate, and unwavering. One sentence, one presence, one unshakable truth, delivered with clarity, timing, and confidence, can forever change the dynamic and make the narcissist fear losing control over you. The real victory is not in defeating them, but in becoming untouchable, confident, and free. That is the ultimate lesson, the ultimate empowerment, and the ultimate conclusion. Your power, once recognized and asserted, can never be taken away.